Good morning, everyone. Good morning to and welcome to this very special edition of our Academy webinars. As you know, the Academy webinars are part of our training series for the App Store employees, but today we are opening this opportunity to friends and stakeholders from all over the world. So good to see you here. And it's a special edition because I was saying we have two very special guests, one more familiar, one even more special. Natalia, of course, our President and Chief Creative Director. She is the heart of our international group. And we have also Francesco Frattini, who is not only a friend, but also a great professional with years and years of experience, 30 years of experience internationally in the pharma industry. He worked in Italy, in Switzerland, in the UK. He touched, working with Roche, he touched a lot of different areas and aspects of the pharmaceutical work, meaning like drug development, market access, communication. So he's really seen it all. More recently, he was for 6 years, the president of the corporate foundation of Roche here in Italy. We collaborated with Francesco on different projects. Natalia will tell us more about that, but it's a very special, it's an honor for us to have him here today to talk about brand reputation, especially with a special focus in healthcare communications. The title is interesting, A Bumpy Marriage. We will find out today. Before we start, I wanted to remind you guys that this webinar is being recorded. So if anyone is missing the webinar today, they can catch it up on our YouTube international channel, @Store channel. We will make it available to everyone to watch and to catch up with. So Natalia, I will let you take the stage. This is going to be a conversation. So Natalia will ask questions to Francesco, and I'm letting you take center stage now.
Thank you, Angela. Okay. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And of course, thank you, Francesco. Today, we'll talk about very interesting and wonderful topics. One is the power and the importance of reputation. For the App Store, this is especially important topic because you know that one of the things we do believe at the App Store, and I've been talking about this with Francesco lately, is that we, with our vision of the human communication, we do believe that brands are like human. And so as much as even more or at the same level, reputation is important for people. We believe that brands are like persons, I like human beings. So at the same time, so their reputation is a treasure, is a value that has to be built and protected. And so we'll talk about it. And we'll dive into another topic, which is the healthcare communication. We talk about the dynamics, constraints, and let's say opportunities for those who deal with the world of communication for the healthcare industry. It's not a coincidence. It's important for the App Store as well, because the App Store group, all our agencies have a strong expertise in this field, in this industry. The healthcare is something that we know how to manage, and we, although always want to improve and to deal with, thanks to our internal division that is called the Ad Farm. So we know that this is something that not everybody can and want to learn about it. We are very interested on that, and so this is a very important opportunity for us to talk with Francesco. Thank you, Francesco, for being with us. Of course, Francesco, we met years ago, and through him, we also at the Art Store are now cooperating with the Roche Group, so we're very proud of it. But lately, we've been discovering many things in common with Francesco, and so he accepted to give us his advices and his point of view on this very, let's say, specific but general at the same time topic. So of course everybody is welcome with their questions, because my role is only to drive the conversation. But please, guys, everybody, feel free to raise your hand and to ask anything you want to ask to Francesco, which I'm sure will be happy to answer. And at the same time, we'll keep 10 to 15 minutes at the end for questions for everybody. So let's shot the first question. And unless Francesco wants to say something as an introduction, I would jump into the very direct question that you can help us understanding. And the very direct question is this: what is reputation? What are we talking about, Francesco?
First of all, thanks to all you and to Adistor for the opportunity you gave me to talk about a couple of things which I've devoted the last 10 years of my professional life in Roche and in Fondazione Roche. It's something that keeps me always excited, talking about reputation and talking about communication, because as I said, I've worked on it quite extensively over the last years, although it's not the first thing that you associate when working in the pharma industry, especially for a person as I have. Reputation is a simple question, the definition about reputation, and it's so simple that actually there is actually more than once. And I've captured here what are the definitions that I came across, which gives a better or the best idea of what is this discipline. First, they say that reputation, this is the most lay definition, is what other people say where you're not in the room, what they say about you as a person, and also more precisely for this case, about a company. Another thing, it's a thing that it takes years to build a good reputation, but it can take minutes to destroy. And these people know it, also industry, and especially pharmaceutical industries know very well this. Another definition is a thing that is in perfect hands, unfortunately, that not yours. Although this definition seems pretty catchy, it's not, I do not entirely agree on this, because as we will see, reputation is in our hands. We can determine also how the reputation is, not only the hand in the hand of the other, but the most precise and serious definition is the reputation is a metric quantifiable, so it can be expressed in exact terms, is numbers, recognized and almost now overall accepted in the business environment for its value. So this is reputation with a different with these different aspects or different facets.
This is very interesting. I like this first expression that reputation is what people think of you and say more than think, say of you when you're not in the room. This makes me freak out, but it's very interesting. And if it's true that, as you say, it takes years to build and the second to destroy, we'll see later, I think, examples of how this happened. But now let's talk about something more specific. We all think that reputation is an intangible or an abstract asset, but it's not. It's a very concrete value. So the question that you see here, and you started talking about metrics, etc. Please tell us what determines reputation. Which are the impacts, the factors that impact on reputation?
As in many cases, there is a brief and a long answer. The brief answer is that a reputation is determined by your behavior, what you do and what others see you doing. In more words, there are, as we will see in a couple of minutes, there are different factors that impact reputation. In fact, over the last, I would say, 20 years, a discipline, almost a science, I would use the word science, a science has developed to study reputation, to analyze it, reputation, and also to measure reputation.
In fact, I was actually anticipating this before, as I said, when I said that we are used to think of reputation as an abstract thing. I was running too much. I was going to this point, which is not abstract or intangible. It's very concrete. And as you say, we can measure reputation. So how can we measure reputation?
The science of reputation that has developed over the last 20 years, I would say, has also seen different companies that do business and thrive on measuring reputation. Here you can see in the slides a few companies, and there are many, many more, because, as I said, reputation has become more and more important in the business. And the most, say, accepted now worldwide and validated methodology to measure reputation is the RepTrak index by the RepTrak company. This company has developed an index, a very precise metric, which is composed by all the different factors that can impact on reputation. And we can have a deeper look into that. This seems complicated, but it's rather important. This is the RepTrak index that at the end gives a number which is the score that of the reputation of a company or of an individual. And then, as you can see, it's composed by different factors. Many of these factors are quite intuitive. For example, product and services, what you prepare, if your products are of good quality, value of money, your performance. So we are talking about reputation of company. How is your company profitable? How is the business going? Are you growing more than the stakeholders or the investors expect you to grow? So this is performance. Another which is very used is innovation. Are your products innovative? Are you the first to enter with the market with a particular service or a product? And can you also adapt to an environment which constantly changes? So performance, product and services, innovation. And then there are other factors which could be more less intuitive, but actually very, very important. And one of these factors is one of the factors that carries the heaviest, the strongest weight to impact on reputation, which is the governance. The governance is how the company behaves. We talked that reputation is driven by behavior. So is the company open? is transparent? What is it behaves ethically? Do they practice business in a fair way? This is a factor which has increased over the last 10 years, its importance. And it's more important than innovation in determining the reputation factor. Then other factors are the workplace. That's another factor. When here I'm in a way preaching to the converted, because I see how much the attention that Adistore pays to the employees, how the work environment, their well-being, the opportunities which are offered to the employees for growth. So also workplace is important. Then there is citizenship. Citizenship is how the company interfaces with society. What about the sustainability from an environmental viewpoint? What about adoption or non-adoption to good causes? What about the relationship with the society? This is extremely, extremely important. Then the leadership, talk about the leader. Does the company seem to be in good hands? What is how is the management rating? How is the leader? Is a leader which is trusted? Does this leader has a clear strategy or a clear vision? So all these factors, some factors very tangible, product, services, innovation. Some other factors less tangible but equally important. I would say, especially again, the governance, the citizenship, and the workplace. Then reputation, the rep track, the reputation is evaluated through very thorough interviews to different stakeholders, specific stakeholders, and also the public opinion. There are samples of citizens which are regularly and constantly interviewed by these companies, which every year they publish results. And the results related to last year have just been presented by the rep track. I use the rep track because I believe it's the most sophisticated, it's the best.
The rep track index of the best companies in terms of reputation has been just published, and we have the data, we have the infos. Do we know which are the most well-reputed? Okay, reputable. The top 5 most reputable companies. Oh, we love Lego.
Lego. These are the top 5, which Lego, Rolls-Royce, Rolex, Harley-Davidson, and Bosch.
Really? Harley-Davidson? What a weird, and Rolls-Royce? Weird.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we all know these companies, but this gives me the chance to make a comment. I said that it's very important how the company interfaces with society, and reputation is impacted very strongly by how society is faring. What are the big facts, the big macro phenomena of which are affecting society? For example, until I would say 2019, 2020, the first top companies were luxury companies. We used to have Ferrari, we used to have Rolls-Royce, Rolex, Harley-Davidson, used to have Louis Vuitton or Fendi, or these all luxury, which means that are sort of the status symbols which have a very strong appeal to people. They are products of high quality, of high price, and that will also with a very, very strong reputation. A big turnaround happened, I remember, in 2019, where the top spot was taken by Disney company, and the society was going through entering into a different phase or different situation. I think is not as dramatic as we are in now with the wars and etc. But also there, it's people started to pay attention to other factors than the pure material, material world. You remember the video by Madonna, "I'm a Material Girl," and she was wearing this jewelry, these watches, and the signed garments and so forth. It feels that people also with Disney were sending the signal that they wanted to dream, to live in a better way. And Lego, which is a company of play, gives an idea that in times like this, in economic crisis, in a lot of unhappiness going around the world, and a lot of reasons to be concerned, the people pay attention to these factors. This is quite interesting, Natalia. Don't you find it that there was this shift in the perspective of people?
This shows how we are in the fact that we are really in a new era, absolutely, and things are changing. And let me just say one little word regarding every year we choose a word that expresses let's say the macro trend in our vision for the communication priorities and topics. We used ACT and for the past, because we thought that the purpose-driven companies and so the story doing compared to the storytelling was more important in the past. But today, for this 2025 Art Store Moments, which is our convention and our Festival of Creativity, we chose the word fun. Why fun? Because we believe that we are in the entertaining era, and people are looking for lightness and entertaining more than other, and so the fact that Lego is the number one reputable company in the world now compared to the rep track index is very, 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 very interesting. Absolutely, it's very new. And what about, let's go into the healthcare world. We don't see one thing. I'm used to consider, I mean, I remember this info that the worst, of course, I mean, it's quite intuitive, the worst, the most difficult reputation problematic companies are the tobacco brands, the weapon world, and the healthcare are always being considered the big pharma, let's say. Big pharma, tobacco, and weapon are the most difficult processes, no, in their reputation aspect. So let's go about and talk about the healthcare companies. Where are in these ranking positions?
Yeah, you're right. Also, when I joined the pharma industry, I started diving into this discipline of reputation. I was thinking we were going to do very, very bad. But in fact, it's not companies, the whole ranking. It's very little, so I don't expect you are able to all read of that. You can see it if you go in the RepTrack web page. You can see. But actually, you can see that there is a company, a pharma company, the first one, which is Novo Nordisk, which has a 36. Then there is Roche is 74. We were around the 70s. So cannot compare to Nintendo, for example, always staying in the play or games area, or companies which are very, very known and familiar, like Google or the car companies. But healthcare is not doing as bad as it is. And as you see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 7 companies in the
first 100. Mm-hmm.
In the first 100, I would say also, before talking again healthcare, I will also make a small digression for Italy, because we are talking Italy. What were the results for Italy, and which are the best company? And Italy, the auto company, the best one, reputation is 80, is the Ferrari. Food and beverage is Ferrero. Ferrari and Ferrero have always been among the top.
There's just
three
one letter
companies.
difference between Ferrari and Ferrero. No, well, two.
Ferrari and
But they're
Ferrero.
very
Yeah.
similar.
Then retailing is Esselunga, and you see 75. And consider that the pharmaceutical, the ranking of the sector is 70, so it's in the green, so it's still in the good area. Is better than banks, is better than telecommunication. I would say that in the last years, telecommunications and banking are in a way competing with
I am very sorry to say that there is a problem of a connection and
tobacco and with weapon industries because.
I'm sorry, Francesco. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Sorry, there is a problem of connection and we couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. And we couldn't hear you in the last sentence. You have to repeat and see if there is a possibility of
okay. Only the last sentence, I hope. I would say that this slide, the importance is that it shows actually that pharma company is not the villain of the piece, is not the worst. In fact, is an average reputation of 70, which is better than telco, transportation, and banks and insurances, which are becoming as the companies, the sector with the worst reputation. So this is for Italy, the situation for Italy.
Okay.
Did you get the sentence? Yeah.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. Sorry. Now, so all these infos that you gave us on how to build the reputation, how to measure reputation, and this ranking work in a, let's say, ordinary life. Then things like the pandemic arrives and everything changes. So the question is a dramatic factor like the COVID and the pandemics. How did this impact the reputation of brands, or how did companies managed and acted, and what changed for them in terms of reputation in general?
I would say the COVID pandemic has the most dramatic impact in the reputation ranking of sectors, I would say. And in the year after the pandemic, there were very accurate studies conducted on the impact and who were the winners and the losers in the public opinion eyes during the pandemic. We were almost done with that, but the winner we say were the NGOs, healthcare companies, which seem to be able to respond very, very fastly, and also corporate foundations, which did a lot during this crisis. On the opposite side, government and public institutions, which were seen not so effective. But this gives you an idea how an exogenous, an external factor can impact the reputation and business.
Yes, let's go into this very, very central and crucial question, because okay, we all know that reputation is important and we want to build it and make it grow, but how and if we want to know its impact on business, how does reputation has an effect on business, because we are here to make our companies, clients grow, and also through reputation. Does this impact on business, this word reputation?
Of course, there are very lot of studies which I spare you because they could be quite boring. Graphics that correlate the reputation factors with profitability, with the EBITDA, and there are, I say, very, very well trustworthy studies that demonstrate this. In fact, the companies are investing in reputation, and they are investing in these reputation studies. So there, as I said, there are very thorough studies. If you're interested, you can look into the internet, and there's plenty of this information. I would be more just to quote 3 examples of cases where the reputation had an impact on business. The first one is, they're all cases we are familiar with, so it's easy to understand. Then there is the Dieselgate by Volkswagen. Then Volkswagen has, as you said, it could be, I translate it, it's in Italian, they could say could cost more than $40 billion to Volkswagen. And here are the cases I've seen, these graphs linking the EBITDA in those years, and there were very, very strong price that Volkswagen had to pay to this reputation crisis. Now, and there is another one which is less, I would say, it's interesting, maybe less familiar. There was a scandal on the FIFA, on the Federation of the Football Association, and of bribes and corruption at high level. Here, not so, the proxy which I would use to quote the effect was not a financial proxy, but is the number of applications. You know, the number of applications to join FIFA, which is one of the places where many people worldwide would like to go and work for very understandable reasons, at least to the people who love football, is the number of applications to join FIFA dramatically dropped after the scandals. And also this is an impact on the business. Remember we talked about what is the workplace, what is the perception of the company. And the last one is this is actually news of the day, is Tesla. Tesla, I guess, due to issues linked to its founder, owner, president, is seeing sales dropping, and also a strong impact on the share price and on the value of the company, of the capitalization of the company. So it's extremely, as you said, there are reputation indeed, and unfortunately, in many cases, I would say, as an industry person, has a strong impact on business. If you want, you can go and look for specific studies. As I said, there are plenty of studies available to that.
And let's talk about how that, the question is here, the reputation impact on different industries, because if it is quite easy for us to understand when we talk about business to consumer, when you go to industries like the healthcare, which is not business to consumer, it's not that easy for everybody to understand how reputation impacts. So can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, it's starting from my personal experience. When I took over the job as communication and public relation in 2014 in Roche, and I went to the CEO and asked him, why don't we conduct a reputation study? I'd like to know how Roche is, how is the reputation? And he told me, no, this is not the good, we have better ways to spend our money, because we are not Barilla, we are not Nestle, we are not selling so to the public, so it's not important. Then we had a change of mind and a change of heart, because I had the pleasure, and I say it with a little tongue in cheek, I had the pleasure of having to face a major reputational crisis in that same year, and therefore also we started paying a strong attention with reputation. Because as Natalia was saying, a consumer is very clear. A consumer, you can decide what to buy. If you want to buy pasta Barilla or pasta or Nestle or Buitoni, or you can choose. But also for business to business, like healthcare business, reputation is important. Our customers are not the public opinion, because we were in Roche, we were selling especially almost drugs to hospitals or drug under prescription, so not over-the-counter products, so not to consumer. But therefore, our customers were the wholesalers, were the physicians, were the pharmacists, and also for these customers, reputation was extremely important. I remember once talking to a wholesaler, and he was telling me, you know, Francesco, I may buy this generic drug. It's a little bit cheaper than the Rochefort, than the originator one. But you know, I know that yours is well done. I know how it is. I know that I don't run the risk of going out of stock. I know that if you say that you deliver this on time, you do it on time. And this is reputation. The same with the doctors. And last but not least, and this is something we experienced also, thanks to the reputational crisis, is also the regulators, the regulatory agency, because every time we went to the Italian regulatory body to ask for pricing and reimbursement of the drug, the AIFA, the crisis, or the fact that was these things going around, was always in the air. And this makes your life quite difficult. So reputation is important. For this DTC is business to consumer is vital, but also for business to business is important, and though also for healthcare companies. But you want to talk more about healthcare companies, Natalia, it seems.
Yes, because exactly here, I remember we started before talking about the position of the healthcare companies in the global RepTrak ranking, and for example, this Novo Nordisk, which is, I personally say that is a company that I don't know. I'm sorry, but it comes out. It was in a very high position, and this was pretty interesting for me, because I mean, does it mean that they are the best company among all the very big names that we have, and now we discover this not so popular? Maybe it's my fault, but I'm sure it's not as popular as the big names that we are used to consider as big pharma. So how it comes that these people here are now so high in the ranking, and does it mean they're really the best ones?
Novo Nordisk is a Danish company, which also makes me proud because it's a European company. It's an excellent company. But I wouldn't say it's the best company. It's the best company in the world. Is probably one of the company which now is most known. It is one of the company people are most familiar with, and this is because they discovered this drug, this GLP-1 antagonist, which is a drug for diabetes, which has a strong effect also on reducing obesity, on weight loss. And this is extremely popular. It's selling loads of money in the US. So it's extremely familiar. It's extremely, people are aware of this company. The familiarity, reputation is driven by familiarity. Familiarity or awareness is clearly be understood, because if you do not know a company or a person, you cannot have an idea you cannot develop about his or her reputation. So it's very known now. Novo Nordisk is very familiar to people for this, as you see that in Italy, in the results of Italy, there was Moderna. Moderna, at the time the survey was conducted, was very famous for the vaccine. Also, that was a very small company. Few people knew Moderna before the pandemic's crisis. Bayer is always in the ranking because of aspirin, because of the drugs that they've known that they're famous for. Roche, on the other hand, also because it doesn't have so drugs which are known to the public, except to the benzodiazepines, which are Valium and so forth, which are now less and less used, is not the top of the list. So there is a very strong link between reputation and familiarity. If you increase familiarity, there is also a good chance that if you increase reputation, once your behavior is correct and you behave in the right way.
So to be considered, to have a good reputation, familiarity, awareness, of course, is crucial, but it's not enough, of course. So you need to add to the fact that you're known, the positivity. So if reputation is linked to familiarity, how can healthcare companies increase reputation given the direct to consumers limitations that we know, like especially in the UE? But how can a healthcare company increase reputation if they have many constraints and limitations to the communication to the public?
Yeah, communication job in healthcare is not simple, but I would say it's fascinating in a way, because as you very rightly say, especially in Europe, we have these, I wouldn't say absurd, but questionable rules that limit the proportion to public. Consider that you can, for example, you can advertise food supplements or food agents which have effect on memory or effect on life, but you cannot promote to the public, because you can only talk about your products to the doctors, which is anyway, it's fair. There are strong constraints, and these constraints historically between the healthcare communicators have also been used as excuses, because they say, oh, it's nothing that we can do, so it's difficult, we cannot communicate, we are not a food company, God, they're so lucky, Barilla, or so lucky that they can say what they want. We have our hands tied, as you said. So healthcare communication has been characterized over the years by a very, very conservative tone and conservative spirit, due to this regulation/excuses. So communication in healthcare has essentially consisted in two things, had boiled down to two things, which I call labs or beds. And I would now explain what I mean with the slides. One is labs. Labs is the research. Pharma industry is driven by research. So communication of healthcare companies has always been depicting the researcher, the microscopes, the labs. You see example from different companies. I also put a Roche one, because to be fair. And if you could erase the number of the name of the company, they would all look the same. So all this research, a white coat and so forth. Then the other is what I call beds, which as a step forward was to go to the sick people, to the patients. And especially in the last years, maybe the patients were more elderly people, were boys and babies. So all the things were boiled down to these two things: research, the labs, and the beds. There have been good exceptions, and I would like now to take a minute of your time to show you an example of a very good, effective communication, courageous, by a company which is not Roche, which did an excellent thing. If you can. Oops, sorry.
This is what losing 15 kilograms with walking looks like. 4 months.
I'd love to lose 15 kilograms, but this is not the focus, unluckily, of the, of the video. The video was very beautiful, very interesting. So you change perspective and you move from the medical aspect to the wider extra elements, as you said. And this is it's a Pfizer.
It's Pfizer, yeah.
Yeah. I think this was a super quite expensive, but especially because they've been showing it recently during Super Bowls, so it's pretty much expensive, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. This is quite but it's an example how you can use the bad thing. The bad thing while with some creativity. This. Okay. So we said
we can see the document now. Sorry, you closed it, Francesco. We have to reopen it. Sorry, Angela. Thank you. Okay, so we've seen a very good example of exception on good communication for Pfizer. I think that we have other examples. Okay, thank you. This is an Italian campaign for Roche. That I think this is something you did. You too.
Yeah. In fact, we had this challenge to say increase familiarity and improving the reputation, and so we've done a few things. We went different way. One was do some initiatives. Can you see now the slide with the 3 ads? This was the ads that we published on the Italian newspaper when we launched a contest for donations to Italian research. And especially the one which says Roche a fianco del coraggio, which shows the hand of a sick person, a patient in a hospital, were very, very heavily also criticized because they said it's not positive, it gives a bad image, it's sad. So, but in a way, we wanted to be bold and to try to convey the message that the research is important and can help you to to combat diseases that kill you. As the last one with the person with the microscope, the lady with the microscope says, it's very hard to go home if you're fighting against a disease that kills you. And also this was, in a way, quite provocative. Then we've done, I would go fast here because I also don't want to brag about what we've done. We do events. Roche celebrated 125 years, so we had a series of initiatives, with also a stamp. That was the first stamp that the Italian Mail Post devoted to a pharmaceutical industry, and this is a stamp that you could buy in the tobacco in the stamp shop. And then, last not least, because it touches myself, we created a foundation which was active in healthcare by supporting independent research, by helping patients, by fostering the debate with institutions about topics very important in healthcare, like big data and so forth. And we have seen that in the reputation of growth of Roche grew as long as or when the activities of the foundation grew, because you talk about Fondazione Roche. Fondazione Roche has the name of Roche. It increases familiarity. And if you do good things, don't always forget about the behavior, because the name is not enough. Also, the reputation can grow. So this is our response to the challenge, which allowed us to improve the reputation. So that is
very, very interesting. The fact of how much the creation of a foundation is driven to the goal of increasing their reputation. This is the main reason many companies create the foundations. We are actually on the last minutes because we're late. I'm sorry if everybody, we had some technical problems, so it took a little bit more time. So just one last question from my side to Francesco, then I let everybody of you, if you want to have some quick questions. My advice, my last question is finally, which advice would you give to us as communicators to be effective in healthcare communication? So if we want to improve our skills in the healthcare communications, do you have an advice for us?
Yeah, my advice would be not to be hungry and foolish, as somebody more famous than me once said, but to be bold. Be bold, and you can be bold, I could say, 3 ways that you could do. Get away from this research and development story. It doesn't pay off. It doesn't pay off. Pharma industry is based on research, and therefore it's the reason of your business. And without that, you cannot do your business. It's like if an airline would advertise themselves telling, oh, our planes do not fall down, do not crash. Come on, your planes are supposed to fly. Maybe they have to arrive on time. So don't get away from this R&D stuff. Don't be afraid to show the effect of the disease, of the morbid conditions. I remember there are very good campaigns, very effective in the oncology field about the wigs that were given to people, particularly women undergoing oncological treatment and losing the hair. So there was a very strong, like a punch in the stomach campaign, but extremely effective to raise the awareness of the problem that oncology has, and especially women who lose hair can face this. And then also what was taught during the pandemics, link as much as you can to society. What are the needs of society at the moment? Now are we in a phase where people would need to be reassured, to have peace? It's a time where there are problems of poverty. Linked, keep always an eye on what society wants, or what society breathes, the air that society breathes. Because I repeated myself to close, I mean, communication in healthcare, because of this, is fascinating. I would like to close with a very brief personal anecdote. Once we invited at Roche in Switzerland a CEO of a big, of Diageo, a big liquor and wine company. And my colleagues in communication started the usual history. Oh, we cannot complain. They were whining about, oh, we cannot do this, we cannot do that. What can we do? What can we do? And this person, this gentleman said, sorry, I had to communicate to sell things that, let's say, do not help people health, like alcohol or liquor. And you sell life, you sell hope, you sell healthcare. So why can you tell me that your job is impossible? Sorry, I cannot buy and I cannot believe it. So that was I would like to close.
Compared to selling whiskey, the Roche mission is easier, of course, theoretically. But Francesco, thank you so much for this trip. And please, if anybody we want to put, maybe we can go to the first chart of the document. And if anybody has questions for Francesco, feel free. Although, I mean, we are at the end of our time. But if you guys have
in the chat, I can put my email. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can put my hat on my email on the chat.
Contact,
and
yes.
so you can you're very welcome to
Yes,
write to
please.
me, and I'll be also happy to provide you more information of that. I have loads of documents on
That
this.
will be great. That will be great, Francesco.
Then you can
so
go
much.
to the RepTrack homepage, which is important. Another source of information is the Edelman Trust Barometer, which measures trust, which is not exactly reputation, but it's very closely linked. This is extremely insightful for people who do your job, for you guys.
So Francesco's email is frattini@gmail.com. Angela wrote it. Feel free to write to cover him with emails. Ask for the contents, the infos, and anything that may help your work. Thank you so much, Francesco. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Angela. And thank you, everybody, for joining. And let's talk and meet very soon, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesco.
Ciao a tutti. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you.
Ciao.
Look forward to meeting you sooner or later.
Hopefully.